My own mother died when I was about 2 years old. I don't remember her. There are pictures, of course, but not many. Only 3. 2 from the wedding. And only one of my mother holding me in her arms as a newborn. Thanks to Lily's mom for saving them for me. Thank you. And I never would have said thank you to her. I didn't think there was anything to thank her for. And now I'm a mom raising someone else's daughter. But first things first. My father, being a widower, got married rather quickly. He was a handsome man, very young. He was only 25 years old. Lily, my stepmother, told me later she married him just for me. I was very pretty talkative, and I was always looking for something bad to do. She loved me from the first time she met me. Daddy and Lily didn't even know each other. A merchant woman, the first matchmaker in the village, told him about her. Dad thought about it for a while, and then he just went to Lily's parents and said he wanted to marry her. Lily's father turned him down at once. He said his daughter was a beautiful young girl who would find a single man and have children of her own, and there's still love. So he kicked him out. The next day, my father came with me and asked for Lily's hand again. Her father wanted to kick him out again, but Lily got dressed and we went for a walk. Lily told me that we went to a field. It was summer, lots of dandelions, and we were blowing on them, competing to see who could get the farthest. Everyone gave in to me, of course, and I laughed with happiness. Then she made wreaths of daisies, for me and herself, and Daddy said we looked very much alike, and that's exactly the kind of mom I wanted, beautiful and cheerful. Lily was embarrassed and asked Daddy if he really wanted to marry her so badly. He got down on one knee right in the dandelion field and proposed to Lily. She looked at me and said yes. Lily's parents were against their marriage anyway, but she came to live with us after a few days. For as long as I can remember, my stepmother called me. Of course, my mother was very kind to me. She read me fairy tales before bedtime, gladly cooked my favorite dishes, organized holidays for me. She even made me dresses, simple but beautiful. My friends even asked me where she bought them, but I didn't tell them she made them. I was embarrassed, afraid you'd dare. When I was 11 years old, Lily gave birth to a boy, Alex. But my father, for some reason, was not happy. On the contrary, he came home even less often. I forgot to tell you about my dad. He always worked as a driver. He had his own big truck. I don't remember its name. He used it to haul all kinds of cargo all over the country. My daddy was home very seldom, maybe 5 days a month. Lily and I missed him very much. Just when he would leave, we would start thinking of things to give him when he came back, things to tell him that would be interesting. But Daddy wasn't happy about our surprise. He just asked us not to interfere with his rest. Maybe that's why he didn't want a second child, so there wouldn't be a ruckus. I saw that my father didn't like Alex. I decided I didn't want a brother either, and he wasn't really my real family, so it's just one father, but different mothers. I thought my father would see how much I looked like him, that I didn't see Alex the same way he did, and would love me more than my brother. But Dad didn't notice anything, and he never showed me any special love. Neither did the baby, though. He didn't love Lily, either in my opinion at least. I never saw him kiss her or just hug her. No, he didn't fight with her. He was just cold, like a stranger. Sometimes when Dad was away again, I'd hear Lily crying in her room, but she tried to control herself in front of me. She never said a bad word about Daddy. We'd had our differences when I'd first fallen in love. Charlie was 40 years older than me. He'd already graduated high school and was waiting to be drafted into the army. He didn't go to school, he didn't study well, and his parents didn't have enough money to pay for everything. On our first date, Charlie kissed me and whispered that he was coming home from the service and we would get married. I believed him, because I didn't think it was the kind of thing you just say. It's something you say only to someone you really love. I, for one, immediately fell in love with him. The next night, I ran out to see him again. We went to the edge of the village and on an old bench kissed with rapture until midnight. When I returned, Lily was standing at the gate, sobbing. My darling, I was so frightened. I thought something was wrong. Where have you been for so long? You're all right. She groped me in her arms, and I pushed her away and went silently into the house. Lily tried to talk to me, but I was determined not to share with her. The next day, she did find out who I was seeing and made me listen to her. He is not a good man. You shouldn't go out with him. You know Olivia? He got her pregnant. Their parents even agreed that Olivia would stay with them until he got out of the army. No, you're lying, I screamed. You're doing this on purpose. You're just jealous of me. No one loves you, and you want to ruin my life too. And who are you to control me anyway? Mother? No, you're just a stepmother. A stranger's aunt, okay. Even your father doesn't like you. What do I have to do? And stay out of my way. I'll do what I want. I remember Lily went pale at the time, even shook, like she'd been slapped on the cheek. And then she said quietly, My girl, you'll remember this day someday, these words of yours. And I really hope that with regret, otherwise you'll never be happy, because anger and ingratitude are not an easy burden. I snorted. I ran off to my room, lay on my bed, and covered my head with a blanket. And in the evening, I ran out the window. I ran to that bench and asked a waiting Charlie as quickly as I could, Is it true you're pregnant with Olivia's baby? He shrugged and grinned, and then smirked. Kid, who told you that? I love you. Come here to me. I don't want anyone but you. You are my happiness. He pulled me to him and kissed me so strangely that I forgot and didn't pay attention to the fact that he didn't deny anything. He was especially insistent that night, saying that there were only a few days left for our love, so there was no time to lose. He took me to a barn. We lay down in the fresh hay, and he began to pull my blouse up. I grabbed my collar with my hand, but he whispered about his love, about how I had to prove mine to him too. He was talking, kissing me. I trembled with excitement and my hand clenched. But then the barn door creaked open, and I saw Lily and Charlie's mom. What was going on? Charlie's mom was screaming about how lousy he was. One pregnant woman wasn't enough for him. He was making babies for the whole town, and he was going to jail for being underage. Charlie snapped, saying, I'm the one who's been messing with him. And he had nothing to do with it, and ran off. Lily didn't say anything. She wanted to hug me, but I pushed her away again. The next day, she didn't say a word about what happened last night, but I hadn't forgotten. I was ashamed and hurt, and I hated her. Why her? Probably because I didn't want to hate myself. I still loved Charlie, and I thought I'd wait for him, and then we'd see who he'd live with. By the way, Charlie never came back from the army. He married the commander's daughter and stayed in the town where he served. Olivia and her son had to return to their parents. Lily didn't say anything to her daddy, and anyway, it wasn't a big deal. When Dad came, he sent me to his room and told Lily that he was leaving her. Said he had a family in the other neighborhood a long time ago, a wife and 2 sons. That he wasn't going to live in 2 houses anymore because he had promised that woman he would legally register, so he was filing for divorce and leaving me with Lily. I overheard the whole thing, of course, but when I heard his last words, I couldn't take it anymore and ran into their room. Daddy, take me with you, please. I am your daughter. I love you very much. But he pressed his lips together and held up his hand. So quietly, Kate doesn't want you living with us. Do you understand? It wasn't clear to me. I wanted to go away with him, not live with the Lily I hated. She looked at me with tear-filled eyes and asked me quietly, Don't leave me, please. I love you very much. I need you and your love. I screamed and cried. Daddy left, and I stayed with Lily and Alex. I couldn't say we were friends, but we didn't have any more big fights. When I graduated from high school, I packed my bags and went to my father's house after all. His Kate was a bossy, unpleasant woman. I don't know why he liked her. She only let me stay with them until I got a job and a place to live. My dad didn't say anything at all. Lily often called me worried and sent me money, but I never called her myself. And then a few years passed. I met William and fell in love for real. He was divorced. His wife was cheating on him. He even forgave her a couple of times. But when the men he knew started hiding their eyes from him and their wives started telling William to tune his wife out, he filed for divorce. Their 60-year-old daughter stayed with her mother at first. But one day a neighbor called him late one night and told him that Sophie was crying at home alone. William went and got her. Interestingly, his wife didn't start looking for her until the next day. And when she found out that Sophie was at Daddy's, she was relieved to say, "You can have her all to yourself. Just trouble with her, bored of her." So when William asked me to marry him, he said right away that Sophie was coming to live with us. If I agreed to marry him, of course. I said yes. Today was the first time I put the little girl to bed. I read a book to her, sang a song to her, and fixed her golden hair with a smile on her face. Suddenly, I remembered my whole life and Lily and those words. I was scared. Would Sophie ever say the same thing to me? I could literally feel all the pain I'd caused Lily. And she loved me just as much as she loved her own son, if not more. She was my real mother, not my stepmother. And all I did was push her away and hurt her. I looked at my daughter asleep, came out of the nursery, and took my cell phone with me. "Mom, are you okay in there?" I asked, not bravely, when Lily told me I was fine. "William and I have a wedding on the 25th. Will you come?" "Yes, Mom, I'm inviting you. And Alex too." And I hesitated, but I said I'm sorry. "You probably remember why." "I'm very sorry to you. Don't cry, please, Mommy, I love you." When I turned off the phone, I felt such a lightness in my soul, as if I really took off the heavy burden I had been carrying for so many years. I decided that I would introduce Sophie to Lily and tell her what a wonderful and loving mother she had been to me. Not my birth mother, but a real one.